Happy Saturday afternoon, everyone, and welcome to day 10 of the Las Vegas quarantine shutdown. So congratulations. Day 10. We're a third into it. We have 20 more days to go, so we did well. We made it 10 days. We'll make it another 20 more. I just wanted to hop on real quick. During my drive, just got back from doing a little shopping. Pleased to announce that I got everything I wanted. The only thing I didn't see was 95% alcohol, and they had 70, which is adequate. CDC and John Hopkins states that anything over 50% is good. So I wanted to hop on real quick and correct something that I said last night. Nobody called me out on it, but in review, I did do something in error. I was talking about ventilators and the fact that we are going to be, and we are pumping them out like crazy to the point where our entire need for this country is going to be met, plus stockpiling them, plus the ability to send them overseas. Ventilators being life-saving devices that help people breathe, especially now anyone who's afflicted with the coronavirus needs these things. I called them yesterday respirators. So I apologize. A respirator is a face mask. A ventilator is the medical device, medical breathing apparatus. Dyson, the people you all know for making bladeless fans and vacuum cleaners, they pumped out 15,000 of them in about a week. So they retooled and engineered to produce ventilators. So I just wanted to correct myself. It is ventilators, not respirators, which I was speaking about. And a couple things I wanted to discuss. One, you know, we have 330 million people in this country. If you include undocumented people, there's probably closer to 360 million. Tests for the coronavirus have been rolled out. I believe there's, from what I read this morning, just over 1 million. Now, 1 million obviously isn't going to cover almost 400 million people. Who's getting them and why and where and when? Well, first, good news to report, they now have a 5-minute test for the coronavirus, and it used to take 3 to 5 days to get a test result. Now they can do it in 5 minutes. So that is a huge advancement in the fight against this corona thing. Now, as far as testing, who's going to get tested? The federal government says that unless you're already exhibiting symptoms, you do not, and you shouldn't go looking to get tested. Now, I understand people are in fear. They want to make sure that they don't personally have it for their own peace of mind. I get that. I understand that. That's completely reasonable and completely logical. But for every test a curious, healthy person takes, it's one less test that someone who's actually exhibiting symptoms can take. So the priority is people who are already exhibiting symptoms of the coronavirus. And the number one symptom that they're looking at, that they're recommended you getting tested because of, is the dry hacking cough. Not an allergy cough, but a dry hacking cough that can lead to nausea that does not lead to throwing up. So keep that in mind. If your allergies are kicking, you have the flu, you have the cold, usually when you cough, you can hear the mucus inside you. That's not the dry cough. We're talking about like if you put a handful of flour and inhaled real quick, that dry hack. That's what they're concerned about. If you have an extremely dry hack, you're nauseous, but you have no ability to actually vomit. Those are the two precursors that you have to bear in mind. If you're not exhibiting those two, if you just have aches and pains, a cold, a flu, something, some bug going around, treat it as you normally would. But if you have the hacking dry, you can and will get tested. They're rolling them out by the millions. I think there was a little over 1 million this morning, and they're producing them at a rapid rate, including this new 5-minute test, which is awesome, almost a drive-through for getting tested. But if you're not exhibiting symptoms, don't expect to get a test. Okay, and on that note, body down this week mentally. And the reason why is because of these tests. Well, there's 2 reasons, but let's discuss the testing first. Testing is going to take place in an unprecedented level in the next 1 to 2 weeks. So what's going to happen, and I want everybody to be mentally prepared for it, please, you're going to see a skyrocket in the number of cases that are going to be reported over the next week. The reason is because of the actual testing. It's not that it's growing exponentially almost overnight, just as the experts predicted. Now, I'm not minimizing that, but the thing is, the more people that we can test, the more people we will find out that have the coronavirus. So it's just simple logic. So please be prepared for the numbers to start going up in the next week, because people who are at home, people who haven't been tested, who already have it, now will have access to the tests and now will be testing positive. So it's not a new unbelievable surge in the coronavirus, it's a surge in testing. So please be prepared for the fact that these numbers are going to go up over the next week. So don't let that surprise you. Don't hide under your bed. Don't go into an anxiety. Please, I beseech you, all my people out there, love you all, remain calm. The numbers are going to still be the existing numbers. Yes, there's going to be new cases, but it's not going to be an overnight skyrocket. There's going to be an overnight skyrocket in actual testing. So expect that this week. The other thing is, as I just congratulated everyone on, is we're 10 days into our quarantine, our stay at home, whatever the case may be. John Hopkins, who I've been following them a lot because, one, they don't have a political horse in the race, and they're on the forefront of this, and they seem to be calling it as it is. They claim that being outdoors and practicing social distancing has the least amount of possibility of contracting anything because of the ambient air, because of the rate at which the coronavirus falls to the ground. A projectile cough, it still only goes 10 feet before it plummets to the ground, and the trajectory is downward. Average breathing is about 4, that's why they're recommending 6. So if someone's legitimately coughing, yeah, stay 12 feet away from them people, but being outside is safe. It's not blowing around in the air, and every breath you take and every move you make, it's watching you, like Sting said, but being outside is okay. Practice your social distancing. John Hopkins says it's safer to be outside than to be in a non-ventilated area where the virus can actually exist. Another thing John Hopkins said, if you want to see all these things, I put a post in my page about all the things that John Hopkins has been saying, and again, short-term immunity has been proven, but being outdoors is not bad. You can go outside, you can walk around the block, you can just practice your social distancing, use common sense, but it's not floating around rampant in the air. If there's an infected person underneath the roof you live in, it's rampantly running around your house. So be cognizant and be cautious of that, but it's okay to go out. Now, there's a lot of people saying, and I've seen it on Instagram, oh, it lives on surfaces for up to 2 weeks. John Hopkins, who I'm not going to argue with, the medical people there, the experts there, say that the longest case so far has been found to be 3 days on certain hard surfaces. They also recommend when you go out, don't come home from the supermarket and shake your clothes out indoors. Not a good idea, because this virus, believe it or not, it's a very, very weak virus in terms of the standard of a virus. It has a lipid shell on it, which is the weakest. The virus is not a living entity, it's an inert thing. And it has a lipid, a fat-based outside to it. So that fat-based outside is the only thing keeping it going. So the minute that lipid fat-based shell of the coronavirus dissolves, it comes in contact with soap, comes in contact with alcohol, comes in contact with just about anything, including heat, it disintegrates. It doesn't die because it's not alive. What happens is it disintegrates. So you don't want to come home from doing your shopping at Trader Joe's and take your clothes off and shake them inside, because you're just spreading it around. But it will ultimately disintegrate. It's not a living entity, so it does not die, but it does disintegrate within 72 hours. And basically any detergent-based soap will kill it. Because what is a detergent-based soap? It's designed, especially dishwashing soap, it's designed to break up fat and chicken grease and all the things that we cook with, and olive oil. You saw it when you put it in the pan, the olive oil runs for cover. So does the coronavirus. Being that it has a lipid shell, anything that will dissolve fat disintegrates the molecule. So just bear that in mind. Another thing I was thinking about, what I would like everyone to be cautious about this week is, I congratulated everyone on being 10 days in. We did an amazing job. We have 20 more to go, unless our governor, who seems to be doing things his way, according to everything that I've heard. But as of right now, we have 20 days left. So this week is going to be an interesting week, because if you're a productive person that's used to, that took advantage of the time so far, you've cleaned your garage, you've cleaned the dust bunnies out from underneath your bed, you've probably painted your spare room, you've probably deleted all your emails that have been sitting in your inbox for 6 months. So now what? So now people are going to have to face a degree of boredom, even if you have been productive. If you're treating it like this has been a vacation for 10 days, what's going to set in next is, oh shit, you know, I gotta do something. So those feelings are going to kick in. For the people like myself who've been productive this whole time, the best I possibly can, the feeling of what am I going to do now is going to kick in. So like I said, it's a perfect opportunity to reinvent yourself. It's a perfect opportunity to do research about your business. It's a perfect opportunity to say, wow, I'm going to take this course on search engine optimization. That way when people get back looking, I'm going to be #1 on the page of Google. It's a good time to go to places like Skillshare, which is an enormous learning for not only creatives, but just about anything that you want to learn is on Skillshare. They're offering 30 days. It's a great time to take an opportunity for that. YouTube is basically the world's largest free university. So if there's something you wanted to know, something that's going to advance your career, something that's going to advance your future, something that's going to edify you, now's the time to take advantage of it. Amazon, if anyone's an Amazon Prime user, which I am, has been sending me audiobook after audiobook after audiobook after audiobook for free. So there's plenty of resources out there to keep yourself busy. So resist the boredom, or resist the, oh shit, you know, my house is a disaster, now I have to clean. Still maintain being productive. Try to keep on some type of schedule. I know it's difficult to keep a schedule when there's no place to go, but human beings need a rhythm. They need a schedule. They need a time to get up. They need a time to go to bed. It's not a complete free-for-all. Don't get out of your cycle, because 20 days is going to go by pretty fast. And if they lift it then, we're all going to be back to work. So don't get too far out of the cycle of sitting around, lounging, 13 naps and 22 meals, because it's going to come to an end. And when it does, it's going to surprise you. And I'll tell you what, at the end of this 20 days, if you look back and say, a week in, damn, I wish I had time for this, and I wish I had time for that, because you're all back at work, you kind of blew the 30 days that we had to accomplish all that stuff. On a positive note, two things. A report came out from Italy today that a 101-year-old man who was tested positive for corona, received his treatment, he was released today. So I thought that was amazing. So rather than focus on the bad, an 101-year-old Italian dude got out of the hospital after getting past the coronavirus. So it's not exactly a death sentence to our elderly, as people have said. Now, I'm not saying don't be cautious, but they're learning so much more about it at this point, that there are medications, there are treatments, if it's caught in time. There you go, 101-year-old man released from the hospital today. He was tested positive, and now he's negative, he's whole, going back to his family. Another positive, on the Sisolak front, he announced yesterday that he's going to try to pull off a rent and mortgage and utility bill freeze by the 1st. I don't know if that's possible. I don't know if that's going to happen, but even the fact that he announced it, I think was fantastic news, because a lot of people are sweating whether they can pay their rent in 2 or 3 days, depending on when you watch this. So if he's able to accomplish that, even within the grace period, because you know that after 5 days, if you're a renter, they can serve you. They cannot evict you until the 18th, because there is an eviction freeze in place till midnight on the 17th. But, you know, anything that'll help, that would be fantastic. So I hope in the next 72 hours, as he was saying today, that our legislators can put together some type of reasonable package, even if it's a deferment at this point. I doubt it's a bailout, but it'll probably be a deferment, but at least a temporary freeze, and allow people to get back to work as soon as possible. Last thing I wanted to go over real quick, I did take the time to rag on some of the I'm moving to Canada crew, and why that just great, you know, abandon the country that gave you so much, you know, for $800 that they're getting that you're not, but they won't have jobs to go back to and you will. Whatever the case may be, I mean, I have my own strong opinion on that, but if you want to go to Canada, go to Canada. You know, start over the same business and see if you'll be as prosperous in Canada. You're better off planting maple syrup seeds and trying to grow a crop. So good luck with that. Be an ice road trucker or whatever you see on the Discovery Channel up in the Canadian wild wilderness. Good for you. Go to Canada. Not knocking that. But I do have one thing I will say about it. In the immortal words of President Kennedy, ask not what your country can do for you. What can you do for your country? Think about it, and I'll leave you with that. Bror Fredrik out.
Make sure it sound right, boys.